Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City of Palatka special call meeting on October 15th, 2025. It's 6 p.m. I'm calling the meeting to order. We'll start with the invocation led by Pastor Mulberry and the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Boren.
Father, again, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for how good you've been. You brought us together once again for there's some business here tonight, and we ask for your divine presence to be with us. God, give us the wisdom that is necessary to go forward and do what is right. We pray, God, that your will be done, your kingdom come, your glory be revealed. Bless this, thy people, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Davis? Present. Commissioner Campbell?
Present.
Commissioner Jones?
Present.
Commissioner Boren?
Present.
Mayor Carrera?
Present. Thank you. We have quorum. I do have a public comment as a general public comment from Ms. Kitchens. Please come up, Ms. Kitchens.
Thank you, Allegra Kitchens, Palatka, Florida. I just wanted to let you all know that the red light on Reed and Second Street, there's something seriously wrong with it. When you're trying to cross Reed Street on Second Street, it will turn red briefly. The signal comes on and says it's going to turn green, and then it stops the traffic on Reed Street, but it doesn't turn green, and then it holds for another 10 minutes or so. So there's something wrong with the red light on Reed and which is State Road 100, US 17, and State Road 20. At Reed and Second Street. So if somebody could get the Department of FDOT to regulate it, it would be wonderful. It's almost caused some wrecks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also on Third Street as well.
Yeah, Third Street's no prize. Fourth is pretty good.
Thank you. Anybody else here for public comment on general items not specifically listed on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. On to regular business, city manager investigation. We all received a copy of the investigation. Would we like to proceed in terms of this discussion about the investigation? We also have to, Ms. West, give Ms. Cotty the opportunity
That's correct.
to rebut.
Ms. Carty is entitled to a name clearing hearing in which she is allowed to rebut any accusations and allegations that have been placed against her. And so she does have that opportunity in a public forum to do so.
Ms. Cotty, would you like to do so?
I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just
Go
going to say before, do we hear from her first or the investigate the conclusion of the investigation and this is just a question. I don't know how this typically proceeds.
Well,
Ms.
there's
West.
nothing typical about this, for one thing. The investigator is not here to testify as to the findings of his report. So I believe all of you have received a copy of the report and you proceed as you deem fit. But you do have to give Ms. Carty an opportunity to rebut the allegations.
And that is what I was going to do, because I knew the gentleman could not be here in such short notice. We had received that correspondence. And we did all receive it, and I wasn't going to read it page by page. So, Ms. Cotty,
Yes,
your
ma'am.
opportunity.
First of all, good evening to everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to respond to the allegations. I received the report today, and so I tried to address it and just respond to the best that I could. Okay, so I guess I'll just start the way how it's written here, but the first thing, there was an allegation about I approved of another manager's decision to terminate an employee. And that was because that person was on probationary. And I think out of maybe 45 days or so, that person had not been able to come to work at least half of that time. Also, the person was not well. And I think she even fell down the stairs. And so we tried to prevent that from happening again. And we moved that person downstairs to make it more safe. So I'm pretty sure that that's what that person was talking about, that allegation. However, it is not my decision. It was the manager's decision. I did agree with it.
Do you want to actually start on number 1 and go in order, which she was
So-
on, that was number 7.
Oh, so I was on page 6.
Yeah,
So
so
should I start with page 7? Okay, I'll start
with
with page 7.
the first allegation. Might be easier to start to do it in order. So you did
So the
respond.
first, page 7, number 1, okay, initiating and prolonging discussion about race, ethnicity, and national origin, is that it?
No, number 1 is one employee complained that Ms. Cardi lied to her, constantly changed her mind, giving conflicting work instructions, reprimanded the employee without reason.
I got it, page
Okay,
5,
under-
I found it.
Before we proceed, Mayor?
Yes.
May I make a recommendation that you
Read the.
facilitate the meeting as well as kind of help us so that Ms. Cardi knows exactly what it is that she needs to be responding to?
Okay,
Okay, I will read the allegations in order and then you can give a response to
Okay.
each one after I read it. So that was the first one and I had almost finished. So I'll start over again just for clarification. One employee complained that Ms. Cardi lied to her, constantly changed her mind, giving conflicting work instructions, reprimanded the employee without reason, undermined her, and created a toxic work environment.
okay, thank you. So my response is not true. I have no knowledge of lying to any employee or anyone. I don't constantly change my mind. I do change my mind when I am given new information and more relevant information. Reprimanding an employee, the only person that I have ever, I've had one person on performance improvement plan, and that person did successfully complete that. Another employee was placed or requested to be placed on a performance improvement plan by the prior finance director, and I did complete that. So that's my response.
Okay, the second allegation is another employee reported that Ms. Carter repeatedly blurred the lines between city business and personal matters, tried to micromanage anything she could, disrespected employees, refused to value their time, badmouth employees, created toxic work environment, belittled people, disclosed sensitive or confidential information to employees.
My response is not true. There were, as it relates to blurring the lines between business and personal, there were 3 instances that I remember of receiving assistance from city workers. Mainly it was offered with Public Works. My car was not working. My doorknob, 3 doorknobs, they came in. I was not home at the time, so I assumed they came on their off time. Let me see. I don't know anyone that I disrespected or belittled. And I don't know if any sensitive or confidential information that I may have disclosed.
The next allegation, specific meeting an employee had with Ms. Cardi, which covered numerous work topics, including compensation. According to the employee, Ms. Cardi told her that her eyebrow treatment brings out her Indian features. Ms. Cardi then repeatedly and openly doubted what the employee had to say about her own racial and ethnic background and national origin.
This conversation was initiated by the employee. We were discussing her vacation plans, and I noticed her eyes I was like, oh, wow, that looked nice. And she said, yeah, I paid enough. Like, how do you pay for eyebrows? She explained about a treatment. And then she talked about that that her father is Black and her mother's Puerto Rican, and that she's a Black woman, which I was like, oh, okay, didn't know that. But then I said, well, my granddaughter is also Puerto Rican. I pointed to my pictures of my family. My granddaughter is Puerto Rican as well. And I showed her the picture. She didn't seem to be offended. We kept working. This was a conversation that we had before we started getting deep into the substance of our work. So I didn't know she was offended. She never said it or looked like it.
The fourth allegation, initiating and prolonging discussion about race, ethnicity, and national origin. She was proud of her heritage. In response, Ms. Cardi said, "Don't get loud with me." The employee was offended, and she said so. Ms. Cardi ignored her.
Again, as I mentioned in number 3, the same employee initiated the conversation. I simply responded, I don't know what she mean when it says, don't get loud with me. I don't know what that means. She didn't seem to be upset. She wasn't angry, nothing. I'm not discriminatory in any way. We were just talking, conversating as women talk and nothing else. I don't remember her even being loud or unusual. We just started working.
The fifth item, viewing employees differently based on their age favors older employees over younger employees.
My response is that I'm not certain how this assertion was made. Our workforce is mixed, and I work with both older and younger individuals. I would have no reason to make a statement regarding age.
The next item is viewing job applicants differently based on protected categories.
I do work with human resource, and there are times when I want to make sure that we remember that we are building a diverse population, work population, and the desire of the city to hire local residents. Also, I want to make sure that that we remember that. So I do remember a conversation of regarding that. We do have one department that doesn't have a lot of diversity, so we were looking at that department.
The seventh item, disfavoring a sickly employee, and you responded this one already, but I will read it for the
Okay.
sake of the public. Ms. Cardi approved of another manager's decision to terminate an employee. The other manager's reasons are unknown, but Ms. Cardi told me the employee was outlocked for health medical reasons.
Right, and that's the employee that had problems. She had some kind of problem with her foot, but more importantly, it was not safe for her to be upstairs. And I did make sure that we moved her. HR also was aware that she had fallen, and we did not want that to happen again.
The eighth item, disregarding boundaries between city business and personal matters, an employee to go to my house and tell me what to do about the grass.
Yes, there was an employee that was outside. This is true. There was an employee outside, and I think he was doing the grass, and I told him how my grass was dying. And I said, whenever you get a moment, and he talked about how his grass was thriving. I said, okay, well, look at my grass, you'll see, and let me know what you think. So I'm not sure when he went. Maybe a week or so later, he mentioned, do not replace all the grass, but I don't know when he actually went to see it.
An employee tightened 3 doorknobs at your home and assisted with your daughter's vehicle with the dead battery.
So this is true. Again, I probably, the best I can, my memory is that Public Works said they would help me as they normally do if that, because I had a problem even with the city-owned vehicle. It wasn't starting right. Matter of fact, I was driving and it turned off while I was driving. So I think this is during that same period of time that I was trying to start my car so I can drive my car instead of the city car.
The next example is one Saturday, Ms. Cotty drove by a city employee's house. Two men, both city employees on the day off, were outside repairing a door. Ms. Cotty asked if they knew a handyman.
That's true. I've been looking for a handyman. I did find one. I paid that handyman to do the work I needed at my house. But it's also true that on Saturdays, I do drive around the city, look at different areas, and I happen to stumble on the house where I saw two of our public works individuals and they were working. So I said, okay, can you help me? They say, no, we got to finish this. I said, okay, well, do you know a handyman that can help me? And they did not. So I went on the internet and I finally found one.
The next statement, 3 times an employee assisted me with moving my car to the repair shop and back to the office.
This is true. My administrative assistant, it was that the day was ended and I had to go pick up the car. I think it was my personal car from the repair shop. And also I had to grab the dogs in order. So everything was happening at the same time and she did offer to help me. And she did. That next day, we wanted to make sure that the car was clean. So I said, look, call Public Works. Let's make sure it's clean. And that's pretty much what happened.
The 9th allegation, improper comments such as losing weight, hair, and makeup.
So I'm not really sure what that is about. I always encourage the directors to look their best, and especially on commission night. You know, I do encourage all of us to look business professional. So I'm not actually sure about this. I wouldn't say lose weight as far as I know, but I may comment on your hair. And I wouldn't comment on your makeup, but I might say your hair look good, something like that.
The next item, misconduct while investigation in progress. City employee to confirm her loyalty to Ms. Cotty repeatedly pressed the employee for information about the investigation.
Okay, so when I came back on September 17th and I walked by my administrative assistant, as I always do, as she came in to help me, I said, oh, is it okay for us to work together? Are we good? She said yes, and she said this too will pass. So I didn't ask her about the investigation, but I did say, are we good? As it relates to the investigation, I believe I know for a fact I spoke to police chief, mayor, and human resources, mainly to confirm how I'm supposed to operate. There was not written guidance, but I was given some guidance. The guidance that I think we understood, we being myself and department heads, was that if the department head had no problem with coming into the office, working with me, then they did do that. If the department head expressed to Chief Shaw that they were not comfortable, then they came in with Chief Shaw. So there was that moment of just doing the best we understood.
I told the city employee that she is now eligible to be paid overtime when she works more than 40 hours a week, which is a reversal of prior practice.
So my administrative assistant, I had okay, so we started a system here in the city to try to ensure that all employees would pass what we call the probationary period. This is a new process. The process says that 45 days in, before you hit 45 days, your department head will meet with you, go over how you're performing, give you heads up, et cetera. Once we do that, we do meet again for the 90-day. So with this employee, I wanted to complete that 90-day probation evaluation. However, when she called HR told her, no, it's 180 days. So I said, okay, great. So you've already passed your probationary period. I assumed there may have been a conversation about whether she's exempt or not exempt, but if she's not exempt, then she would qualify for overtime compensation if she worked more than 40 hours. That's the best that I can respond to that.
Since September 17, 2025, Ms. Cotty has attempted without result to influence or control the city's communications with the media regarding her employment status, or the status of this investigation.
So my response is that's not true. I'm not sure why that statement is made or how. As far as I recall, there were two entities that did try to connect with me on my phone or email, but I think mainly phone from what I remember. And there's a Jax 40 or 45, and there's Palatka Daily News. I did not respond to either and referred to Public Information Officer, one of which I think I sent via email.
Those were all of the allegations that you may want to read what you perceive as the desired income, what you would like to see as the.
If it's okay. So for all that is here, and particularly my supervisors, the commissioners, I just want to say I've enjoyed being here tremendously. I love this city. I think it's the bomb. I think there's a lot of future for growth and development. There's a lot of challenges. I think that in 1 year, we've achieved a lot as a team, myself and the department heads and the staff at large. I've enjoyed all of the various positions held and functions achieved. I've learned a lot. At the same time, these allegations have made me stop and perform self-evaluation. I believe that there is room for improvement in me. I guess I just listening to it, it makes me feel like I need to learn more about speaking kindly. Maybe I'm a very direct kind of person, primarily because I'm so results oriented and deadline oriented. But out of about 20 employees, I think, a good 3 really gave formal complaints. That doesn't matter. What does matter is the fact that it is perceived that I offended someone, and perhaps I did, and I don't like that. I'm not that kind of person. I would have liked to have been given the opportunity to actually talk to the individuals that I may have offended. I would have liked that if I had hurt someone's feelings, that they could have come to me and say, hey, Ms. Carty, you did so and so. So that way I would know that, oh, okay, I crossed the boundary. So unfortunately, I wasn't really given that opportunity, but I do in fact appreciate being able to be here today to speak to my supervisors and everyone else to let you know that I really regret that we're here. It just hurts my heart.
Thank you. So moving forward, Commissioner Davis, do you have any comments at this time? I was just going to move on to section 5 of the contract. Ms. Cotty does mention in her desired outcome that she looks forward to the 30-day cure period. In her contract, there's reference to that section 5A to cure the deficiency. So the city manager may only be removed as set forth in the city charter, as it may be amended from time to time. Prior to taking the vote to terminate as set forth in the city charter, the city will first provide the city manager with written notice of the circumstances giving rise to termination, as well as a 30-day opportunity to cure the deficiencies to the satisfaction of a majority of the Palatka City Council. Should the deficiencies be considered unaddressed and outstanding by the majority of the city council, the city manager shall have the right to request a public hearing before removal. So since Ms. Carter did reference curing the 30-day cure period, that is where that comes from.
Yes.
And I don't know, again, if anybody has any comments or feedback, how we want to move forward.
I want to just say for me that without having the investigator here to present his findings, which means we're not hearing the full result here at this meeting. And yes, I have read them. Right now we have Ms. Carty's rebuttal. I just feel like there's a piece missing for the full disclosure for us to be able to move forward for me right now. So I'll yield and see how the rest of the commission feels.
Commissioner Borum, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I'm still processing. The investigation just got completed Monday. We're here on Wednesday. I'm still processing this information. And again, we don't have the investigator here. And then Ms. Carter did the best she could within the hour to respond to the various allegations, and having that information is especially good to be able to hear both sides, because we only had heard one side all the way up until Monday. And so, to be fair to Ms. Carty, my thing is, I think we should do what's right and move forward with trying to help make it. She asked for a curing process. We never had a curing process for any of the things, the allegations that's been put out there, and she's not had a chance to correct anything that some of the people made allegations about. I don't, and she sounded like she said that they didn't let her know that, hey, you cross boundaries, and that's not appropriate. And so I think with all of these different things, um, there should not be no adverse action taken, at least in my mind, because that's the kind of feel I have right here with, and the look and feel of this whole thing. My thing is, we should do the very best we can to make sure we protect our staff as well as the employee that works for us. And we need to make sure that we don't do anything haphazardly. We need to make sure that we're doing everything decent and in order as it relates to this whole thing. So that's my point, and I believe she's asked for a curing process, I think 30, 60, 90 days for any of those allegations that came forth to be able to address those things. If they come back out and come up again, we got processes in place to be able to deal with that. So unless we had something that's concrete that deemed it should be something different, I didn't see that in the report, and I didn't hear that coming from Ms. Carty. So that's my statement.
Commissioner Campbell?
Um, I think there's an opportunity. I don't think with the given time frame. Let me rephrase that. I think the commission is acting appropriately, being that the investigation had concluded. I do believe that having the opportunity to hear Ms. Carty, whether it be today or whether it be a week from now, the responses that she gave, if she gave them tonight, I'm quite sure they wouldn't change a week from now. But I also wanted to have the opportunity to show staff that we're taking in consideration. However, staff does not respond to us, Ms. Carty does. And honestly, I believe in what I want to hear with some of the allegations in HR. You might have to come up for the questions that I'm about to ask. If an employee, other than Ms. Carty, was to do some of the things as far as have someone come to do work or something, what generally would be done from an HR standpoint?
If they're from an HR, if employees or whatever, if a complaint is made to human resources regarding anybody with the exception of the city manager that reports to you, it would go to that supervisor. So I would take that information to the supervisor. And the supervisor has the ability to meet with HR if they so prefer to have HR in there to discuss all of these things and try to come to a conclusion at that level. If it doesn't get resolved at that level, then that's when we would take it to the city manager. It would only make it to you all if the city manager was unable to resolve that at that point.
And so I asked that question because I don't want to do anything that or make a drastic decision, and it could be something that could be worked out. So that's why I asked for the protocol if it was an employee outside of the city manager.
Yes, sir.
I believe, as I was gonna open up with initially, that I believe that some of the things that were listed could be dealt with providing some resources for Ms. Carty. Again, Ms. Carty is our employee. Ms. Carty reports to us. She doesn't report to anybody else. And just to clarify my question with regards to the protocol, are those, the question that I just asked you, are those cases, or could it result in termination with regards to having someone come do work? Could that result in termination?
According to our progressive disciplinary policy, if someone went and used, because we have had employees that were written up for using city equipment for personal use. They were written up. That does not automatically result in termination. That would result in initial or verbal or written, and then could lead to termination, but probably not just based on that one incident.
Okay, thank you. Legal, with regards to some of the accusations, if we were to offer the 30-day or whatever day amount curing process, are any of those, from your knowledge, because I know you were not the investigator, things that could possibly result in legal actions against the city?
Yes.
Could you identify what those are?
I'm actually a little hesitant to do that because this is a public forum and I would be exposing potential legal liability.
Respectfully, I appreciate that. Ultimately, I'm just on the fence with this. We've been, or I've sat behind this dais for years now. We've had to make some tough decisions with regards to city managers, and I can honestly say I have not been to this point. So when I'm making my decision, when I'm making, or when I'm trying to process this, is processing it from a place of trying to be very, one, transparent, trying to be, two, protective of our employee, three, being protective of the employees of the city. And again, I'll stand by what I stated before, that some of these offenses, I believe, could be worked out with providing resources to Ms. Carty for leadership and all of those kind of things. And that's kind of where I stand. I take this very seriously because, again, this is someone's livelihood. But I do believe that there is an opportunity for us to work through this to a certain extent. How does that look? I don't know now. Would it work? I don't know. I don't want to put her in a compromising position, and I definitely don't want to put the staff in a compromising position. But sometimes it's just hard. It's just a hard position right now.
Commissioner Jones? Commissioner Jones?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
My take on the entire investigation and the rebuttal is there's levels of this complaint to maybe minor, curable offenses to egregious offenses that a person at this position can and would have been terminated for. And whether it's Ms. Carty, whoever's at that position, to whom much is given, much is required. And that's the ultimate leadership role of the city of Palatka, being the city manager, and all of the acts that happen or fail to happen comes back on the commission. Giving thought to what has gone on, what's taking place, the allegation, along with the rebuttal, I talked to acting city manager Shaw and expressed the lack of policy on behalf of the city of Palatka. We really don't have much to fall back on. Our practice have been put together in a meeting, decide how many or people city manager.
Can we go ahead and
Tell him he's not coming to.
All right, can you hear me?
Can you come closer to your mic or to your device? Because
I'm,
we're having trouble. You're fading out on us.
I'm sorry. What was the last words you heard?
You can probably start over.
Well, caught some of it, but not all of it, and especially that your last couple of sentences were gobbled. So I heard Shaw, I think I heard Chief Shaw's name, but whatever
Okay.
you were saying regarding that.
After speaking to Chief Shaw, that's good. I didn't really. Uh, I asked about having a plan prior to this meeting. Whatever disciplinary steps we're going to take, are we prepared after we make the decision to go whichever direction it be, rather it be a performance plan, rather be a suspension, rather be termination. And those things should also have come to us from human resources. We are now, whatever decision we make tonight, we're not really prepared to go forth with anything. It'll be a decision made, and of course, we have the chief as acting city manager right now. However, what direction we want to head, and if it's actually feasible. The other part of being feasible to do anything, what does our policy say? I think there's a lack of policy that actually covers where we are right now. That's my take on it. I think that you mentioned, Mayor, about the contract, with the contract being what the state of Florida is, free to hire, free to fire. Those things all should be taken into consideration, and actually our past practices, which should have been policy at this time versus just practices. We need some consistency, and consistency could start today. So that's my take on it at this point.
Thank you. I just have a couple of thoughts beyond what everybody's already said. When we talk about asking employees to do things for personal use or repairs, I do think the city manager is held to a higher standard. And if the city manager isn't aware that that's not something you can do, how would any other employee know? So I think we maybe need to spell that out in policy, maybe a little stronger, but honestly, I would hope the city manager would know that more than anybody in the city employees, of all the city employees, rather. So I'm concerned about that. There are a lot of things I'm concerned about. If we do, and in fact, the request by Ms. Cardy is to consider the 30-day opportunity to cure the deficiencies, but basically she responded and said she really didn't do any of these things. So
She did say she
I'm-
admitted to some of those, Mayor.
she did admit to some of those, but several of those she did not. So yeah, you're right, to the personnel issues that came up, yes. And that perhaps there were some things that were not done correctly. I don't, this is a difficult situation for all of us, and I think it's hard to have a policy to address everything every single thing that comes up. And this is one of those things that I guess is hard to anticipate to have a policy for, frankly. We want to do what's best for Ms. Cardy as our only employee, but also for city employees. And I am concerned, the investigation, the report, clearly, we're a small city, clearly tells you, from Ms. Cardy's perspective, who some of the employees are to the specific complaints. And I am concerned about them, frankly. So I'm not sure what the best solution is, and we need some HR help. Um, moving forward, if we were to consider this 30-day cure period, how does that actually, how do we actually do that while protecting city employees that are here so that we don't lose any more employees? Go ahead.
I want to respond to, well, not in disagreement, but I want to respond to something that Commissioner
Okay.
Jones stated, where how do we go, or how will we basically proceed from here? I think we could not have come up with anything until we came together as a commission to have that discussion. HR can't give us direction of how we move forward with our employee, because she is a
Oh,
subordinate
Correct.
to the city manager.
Correct.
So I just wanted to put that out on the forefront, that there is nothing that could have come from anyone outside of the individuals that were elected to this position. So with that said, even how the cure process looks, it's up to us how it looks, and not any employee. This decision that we make tonight is a decision that has to come from the dais. If we have questions, of course, we may ask questions, but ultimately, we are the ones that are gonna have to move forth and shape this the way that it needs to be shaped. I don't want to put any other employee, and I do want to apologize to the city manager for asking that question earlier. I
City
mean, not,
attorney?
I do
City
it all the
attorney,
time.
yeah.
Attorney West, the city attorney. But again, this decision is something that we're gonna have to put our boots on, tighten our belts, and make a stance one way or another. I don't want to put a employee in any kind of way, shape or form, put them in a compromising position. So again, this is something that has to be shaped and formed by the 5 individuals that sit up here.
I agree. HR may have to give us some guidance, but I totally agree. Ultimately, this is this commission's decision on how to move forward, and how to address this issue. Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
No, you was first. You put your hand.
What I think we need to do is, let's think about the outcomes that we're looking for. You know, number one, we want our city employees protected. Number one, we want to make sure Ms. Cardy has due process. Number three, we want to make sure our city is stable. And so the question is, whichever direction we take, we have to consider those outcomes. I do agree that the city manager is held to a higher standard because she's the CEO of the city. And while there is opportunity, and even at the time of hiring, there was a stipulation for continued leadership training, working towards certification, there was still a level of expectation that was presented both in the interview and with our understanding of what could happen. Some of the things we are discussing or addressing with these allegations are not unique. Well, they are unique to someone who would have that level of experience and could execute that role in a way. So while I do see the responses from Ms. Cardy, there are some specific items and from the number of employees that I think puts this in a category that's higher than than it normally would be had it been, and not negating one person, but there's a substantial number of employees who provided information over a period of time. And while Ms. Cardy disagrees with some of them and some of the details of some of them, again, I look at the number of employees. I look at some of the consequences that have occurred. Some people have actually left the city in key positions who brought a great skill set to our city. I also know that there was a survey that went out and feedback was provided prior from direct reports. I also know that we have instability in the city with our city managers over the past few years. And while I'm not saying Ms. Carty has to pay for the sins of the or the consequences of the instability, I just want to make sure that we consider the outcomes that I outlined. Stability for the city, protection for our employees, due process, of course. And the other thing I want to say is that this is the only forum that we could discuss this with because she is a charter officer reporting directly to the commission. So we had to have this meeting, as you mentioned, Commissioner Campbell. But I just want us to proceed with, again, taking due process, but taking the necessary action. Because my question is, what will it look like tomorrow for the employees who are clearly identified by some of the allegations? And there's been reference to some of those employees, even by Ms. Carty. She knows who they are. So what does that look like? So I think those are some of my questions.
Commissioner Barr?
Yeah, and on that end, I think what it would look like if there was maybe retaliatory actions, we do have policy in place. Am I correct? We got a
Come
a
up,
strong
Ms. Jones,
policy,
please.
a strong policy against
Yes, sir.
retaliation.
Yes, sir.
So I think that would be a key mechanism if, in fact, so we got some things that's on deck right now. So it's on deck. We're aware of it. We know whether it's, these are allegations because we don't know, we have Ms. Carter's side and we also have the staff side. So, but we have those things out there. And if there are retaliations against that, then that's what I think the employees could use from a protective measure standpoint. The other thing I want to go back to one of the two of the comments I think that was made about some of the employees. I know Ms. Carter even reached out to me and said something about asking for a handyman. So, and I didn't know of a handyman that I could offer her when I had a meeting with her. And then at the same time, then there's this other thing when you got staff who was working, there's certain staff working, Ms. Carter doing the investigative. So yes, certain people was coming to Ms. Carty for assistance or doing the investigative period. And so those things were not clear lines as it related to some employees can come and others couldn't. So I could see from her standpoint when it looked like she was not following protocol. I think that was kind of allowed because we have a new finance director and we were in the ending part of the budgeting season, which we still needed. She's only been here for 3 months. And so I think some of those things kind of came into play as well. We got to look at the bigger picture of everything. We've never done this before. In the past, when we had different things come up, city managers disappeared quick. I mean, I've been here since 2015 and we've had probably about 13 interims and permanent city managers. And some of them went away very quickly and others left on their own. But anyways, so I think we're in a place where we can truly make a difference for our staff because we have never had where staff actually reported on a lot of city managers because of the fear of what would happen. Now, in the past, I've heard managers used to slam doors and curse staff out. That's what was told to me. And I had to step in a number of times for staff before, back 5, 6 years ago, when we had an instance of different things as it related to staff taking things to city managers, among other things, and that city manager kind of went away. But anyways, long story short, we're here now. I think we're in a much better place now, hearing all the sides and understanding and knowing what we can do to move forward to help make this city a much better place. If things were clear, a clear cut to say, "Hey, you violated certain things that raised to the level of termination," that would be something that I wouldn't blank on. But again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but those are just my comments. And
Thank you. In regards, yes, we have a policy in regards to retaliation. However, I don't know that employees will be brave enough to bring that information forward in the future if they feel, and it's just a, again, they've filed their concerns and complaints, put their name to them. There's been an investigation. The investigator basically validated a lot of that. And then I don't think that they're going to be willing to come forward without fear of retaliation, whether that happens or not, even if there is a policy. They'll just be afraid, I think, to come forward.
you say
That's
you
just-
think,
Because I don't know for sure. I don't know for each, I can't be inside of everybody's head. I'm just saying, I would think it's possible that they'd be afraid. Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
I'm
One
gonna-
second, Commissioner Jones.
I want to, two things, I want to clarify though. I disagree with the fact that there was not clear direction given. I believe we gave clear direction from this dais. I believe, Chief, I believe the chief understood it. It's my understanding that there might have been some questions, but I believe clear direction was given. Now, how it was interpreted is another story. And again, we're talking about the CEO of the city. So when we said no direct reports, it meant no direct reports. Now, there might have been something they worked out, but I do believe clear direction was given. Another thing I'd like to say is that in terms of retaliation, we do have evidence in the investigation that there are employees who are very afraid to even interview because of fear of retaliation. Not saying we don't have a policy and they're protected, they just don't feel protected. And that's the reality of it. The one thing that's a constant, no matter how many city managers we get, is the staff who's been here for years doing the work. And again, that's why I laid out the three pieces that we really have to make sure we're considering. I also believe there were direct allegations, and based on the investigation report, I concluded that there are items that are grounds for termination. So I do want to be clear. I saw several items that were grounds for termination. Now, how we get there is the due process piece that I'm leaning to, because in these contract terms, it says that there has to be a notice with 30-day opportunity to cure the deficiencies. That's the piece I'm not sure about reconciling based on some of those instances, some of their investigation, what some of the investigation revealed. And so I'm gonna just stop there.
Commissioner Jones?
This rarely happens, but Commissioner Davis just pinged on what I was going to say. There are some allegations of fact find. I'm not going to say allegations because the fact were confirmed by Ms. Carty tonight on some of the things that took place. Now, what wasn't, and I have a question for Ms. Carty, since this is a fact-finding forum, I guess. She mentioned about work being done at a house. And Ms. Carty said that she wasn't there when they came in. So did you give those people permission to be there? Open the door for them remotely some kind of way? How did that happen?
Well,
Because
actually,
1 minute, let him finish,
Oh,
Ms. Cardi,
oh,
and
I'm
then you
sorry.
can answer.
so
Go ahead.
so with that, it the fact finding on the investigative side, they basically said it took place and you ordered the repair through our employees, but you didn't know if they went on during work hours or after work hours. You could only clear that up because I'm quite sure the employee that talked to the investigator have said it. I just want to know from you, do you know when it actually happened? What time of the day did it happen?
I honestly do not know. I know that I was over here working, and my recollection would be that Public Works were really helpful towards me when I'm here. And I think what I recall is saying I don't know how to do my doorknobs. And so I believe I know the person went by. My daughter said they came by. I don't know when. I wasn't there. I was happy that they did help me, but I did not. I didn't know that I was ordering anyone. I'm sure they heard me talk about I don't know how to do doorknobs, and they offered to help, and I accepted it, but I did not view it like I said to someone, "Go and do my house." I don't even know when they did it. I don't even know when the person came by. And my daughter is the one that said, "Mom, I think one day they did come by." I said, "Are you sure?" And then she mentioned the car wasn't working and the other car wasn't working because the city vehicle was not working properly, as I said, and it turned off in the middle of the highway. So I needed to get my car. And I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I wasn't there. So, and I know I was working here a lot. I was just doing many things, and they did help me, and I accepted the help. But now
So
this has occurred. Now I know I will never accept any help from anyone. As it relates to someone helping me after work, which was what moving the car from the parking lot, from the repair shop to here, I won't even do that. But I did not realize that me receiving volunteer assistance was construed to be that I actually sat down and thought consciously about having some employee go to my house and help me. Everybody know I was looking for a handyman, and I did finally find one and paid them. And that's it.
you paid the city worker too?
No, no, sir.
I'm asking.
I-
I'm trying to get clarity.
No, sir. Like I said, they heard me talking because I'm working, and they offered to help, and I received the help, and that's really it. Now, when did they go? I don't know. My daughter's the one that because I told her when I first heard of it, and I said, "Did this ever happen?" And she said, "Yeah, one day they did come by." I said, "Okay, good." I didn't remember. Thanks.
So
So it's not something that I, ordered or insisted upon or demanded. They simply heard me speaking and offered to assist, and I did accept it.
well, um, so it's almost like accepting a gratuity or so. Um, so when I asked that question, I had, in order to make a sound, prudent thinking man's decision on this, I had to know that fact, and I would like to, I give you that opportunity to to make it clear in this type of form. Um, then you had to deal with the car, picking your car from the shop and having an employee vacuum out your car as it was their duty, and it felt degrading or they felt that they had to do it. And it's not part of their job. That was another
Oh,
allegation.
no, I'm sorry, Commissioner, I hate to interrupt you, but that is not at all the situation at all. It was just a matter of, I had to pick up my personal car. And, I think I was driving the, city car. And, the person was getting off work and, said she would help me. So I said, okay, we'll just run over to the repair place. I got there, my dogs were in the car. I did not want her to drive, the company car, because I think it's only for me. And so she drove my car, something like that, but it was so quick. No, she never, ever, ever cleaned a car for me, never, never, never. The next day, we wanted to clean the car because a commissioner was going to use the car. So we called Public Works to clean the car. But, and that was the city-owned car. So she did help me after work for about 5 minutes. That was it.
Mm. And again, remember, the employees made the allegations. They made the complaints towards you. So it's not that we're looking for it. It came to us.
It's
And
fine.
so when you say 30-day curable, 30-day right to cure or try to cure what had taken place, you can't take back work that was done, and it was done under maybe a employee. I don't know what the employee was thinking. Maybe they thought they had to do it. Maybe it was implied, go by sometime today and do this. I don't know. Again, I lean on the side of protecting employees, protecting you as much as we can, but also protecting the city for what can come as a result of the decisions that you made. And um, and we have to look at it that way. And I think all of us have to look at a liability standpoint of the city based on our actions whenever we make them. We deem to make an action. We need to think about the legality or the liability that we have. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis, you had something?
Ms. Cardy, when you read the report of the investigator and you saw the details that were shared, do you believe that these are embellished reports?
Well, I think it's a combination. I think, I mean, I was just surprised. I was shocked by reading some of this. Whatever I could relate to and say, okay, this happened, maybe not the way how expressed, but either yes, it did or it didn't, then I just proceeded to answer. But my first reaction was surprise and shock.
Were you surprised at the number of employees?
I noticed that there were definitely 3 and possibly a 4th. I don't know. That's all I know. What the investigator.
I'm sorry, that's from reading the report?
Right.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Okay, the investigator explained that there were 3.
Yes.
And what he told me was that his methodology of conducting the investigation was to ask to talk to more
Mm-hmm.
employees beyond those that had actually presented any allegations.
Okay.
That's what he shared with me.
Okay.
So not only did he speak to the 3, he expanded the population of who he spoke to.
Yes. And so my question is, were you surprised at the number of employees and the situations in this report? Because it's obviously more than 3. Do you? Or
No.
did you get that? Oh, let me stop. I
No,
don't
I
mean not
really didn't.
lead you. Did you get that there were more than 3 from this report?
I got that there were 3 and possibly, I know for sure there's 3.
Did you get from this report that there could be more than 3?
I can't say I did.
Okay, great. So the other thing I'd like to mention is that as a city commissioner, I smile a lot and I'm pretty casual when I'm out and about. However, one thing that reminds me of people's perception of me as a city commissioner is when I see people I know personally, and they'll say, "Hi, Commissioner." And I sometimes will say, "Oh, it's Ann," and they'll say, "No, hi, Commissioner." The point I want to drive is that based on our positions, there comes with it a perceived power over others in some cases. And I'm going to use that word power. And I'm mentioning that because I believe from your perspective, when you talk to employees and you said in one instance, an employee volunteered, in another instance, you drove by their home and saw them out there and asked a question. The person who helped with the doorknobs, I just want to remind you, and again, this is where I'm struggling because of the position of a city manager, being the CEO, to understand the power that that brings over insubordinates, perceived or otherwise. And we really, in some instances, have a power imbalance. So what could look like, and I'm not disputing that an employee didn't volunteer, but in certain instances, subordinates often feel they cannot comply, whether it's casual or not. I'm not saying that happened. I do want to bring that to your attention, especially in the position in which you hold. And so while I hear the volunteering, it gives me pause when I'm reading this, when that is the response that they volunteered or they did it, because in our positions, we have to know what's appropriate and what's not. And we are held to that standard. So I do want to just.
Commissioner Campbell.
I have to put this out. This is actually the second round of grievances that we received. We were just here in March where you responded, and I'm looking at that email and some of the behaviors that were laid out within that grievance are some of the same behaviors that are listed in the grievances that we had. So I do want to make sure, and it just hit me and I had to go back and look for myself, but this is not the first round of grievance that we received.
I also want to clarify that in your responses, you said that you received no direction. I know I personally spoke to you on one occasion and again with Chief Shaw about specifically about the fact that you were not to interact with any employees, that they were going to go through Chief Shaw. So that was specifically said to you a couple of times. And most recently, I said it to you again about a week and a half ago when I saw you interacting with an employee and came back and said, remember, and you said you didn't understand that initially. So again, that had been communicated to you on multiple occasions, and I'm just concerned that you didn't understand that after being told several times not to interact with employees during the investigation period.
And the reason for that was because in our setting, I was told that the directors can come to me as they were, as long as they were not, as long as they were comfortable. And then those that were not, they came with Chief Shaw. So.
Okay, but I don't remember telling you that.
No, you didn't.
Okay,
but
I
no,
did
that
not
was-
tell you. I told you all employees
Mm.
would be communicating through Chief Shaw. So, just to clarify that.
Okay, so we are at the point, and again, I'm going back to the contract agreement with the 30 days to cure deficiencies. This is a question for the attorney, and I think it's just a factual question or clarification. Where it says this, and I hope I don't sound too, I just want to clarify. when it says that Palatka will first provide the city manager with written notice of the circumstances giving rise to termination, if we went that route, as well as, that's it's the equivalent of and, a 30-day opportunity to cure the deficiencies to the satisfaction. So my question is, no matter if we went to the point of termination, we still have to give a 30-day cure period. Is that the way I understand that? And so I'm not sure how this fits in. I really just want to understand our options.
Sure. So a written notice was provided on September 12th. I believe you each have
Yes,
a
I
copy
have
of
it.
that. The issue, I think, is does that written notice, which would provide 30 days, identify the deficiencies in a sufficient manner? And this isn't in the paragraph, but
Right.
in the interest of providing due process to Ms. Carty, with that letter that she was provided on September 12th, did that delineate the circumstances in a manner that she would have awareness as to what deficiencies she would need to cure? That's a factual issue.
Mm-hmm.
You have the letter.
Yes.
You can make that decision on your own. That letter was provided. It was in excess of 30 days, but we do need to provide, not only do we need to adhere to the contractual terms here, but we do need to provide due process.
Agreed.
In my opinion, that didn't happen in the letter. I would
Agreed.
just say
No,
that's
I
person who
do
signed it.
agree. And that's why I wanted to ask that question, so we could make sure we had the same fundamental understanding. I do not agree that, I agree that it did not provide that opportunity. I'm leaning towards, and that's, I guess what I'm saying, providing the opportunity to correct it. Where I'm hesitant again is, once Ms. Carty was made aware of the allegations, or after have you ever been made aware of the allegations?
Not the specifics, just that there
Okay.
were several made.
Got it.
Today.
Thank
it's
you.
made up.
And then, and were you made aware in the investigative report?
No?
Oh, you got the actual allegations, the letter?
The actual report, not the allegations.
That's what
And
I'm
during the
asking.
investigation, he did not state the allegation.
No.
That wouldn't happen. no.
Yes, that's not what I'm saying. So technically, what are we saying? Has Ms. Carty received the allegations?
She has-
Today, I think, right?
She saw the final report. She never saw the original allegations, because that had individuals' names on it.
No.
Employee names.
I understand where I'm going with my question in is, are we considering this report day one of her seeing the allegations? That's where I'm going,
Oh,
because we've
okay, I
got
see what
30
you're saying.
days. I'm trying to set up a process here based on our,
No, I get where you're coming.
on her contract. So if that's the case, if this is day one, or is this mean we have 30 days to allow her to correct these findings? If so, I am still concerned because of the nature of them and staff. In order to do that, I don't know how we can accomplish that without her being fully back in the position and having full autonomy to address the circumstances. So it's like it's a catch-22. So that's the clarification I'm trying to get to, if that makes sense. And I have concerns about it, because I do think some of these findings are pretty egregious for that position.
I do, and I also am
So
concerned
that-
that it leads you specifically to some individual employees based on the findings. So that is my concern, and yes, I understand we have a policy in regards to retaliation, but this is their supervisor. And it's intimidating.
Yes, I understand that.
So I'm not,
So,
you know, it's.
so where I'm going is, do we have any other choice? I don't hear another choice, and if I am missing another choice, just let me know. Because all I see based on the contract terms is that we have to give her 30 days to correct, to Makes
It's
them-
either, we also can just directly terminate. There are consequences for that. I'm not suggesting we do that or not do that, but that is the only other option. Anybody else have any? Go ahead, Commissioner Barr.
And I think if we need guidance, that we also can use, the labor attorney or, individuals from the Florida League of Cities to kind of help in this, whole situation that we currently in. This first time being here. And I think it's an opportunity, if the commission agrees, I think just bringing in, somebody with the, Florida League of Cities kind of help in this regard going forward, with guidance as it relates to employee relations and different things of that nature, since we won't be dealing with HR, because that's a whole different ballgame. I think maybe we could lend ourselves to, Florida League of Cities to lend in that regard.
But what happens tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we can continue, if we can, let's look at shifting the date maybe until we reach out, because we haven't been given much. We haven't had not a lot of buffer space to work with. We just got the investigation completed on Monday. And we had no plan coming in today, so what the plan is for tomorrow, if we want to continue that process where you have the separation until we get a process in place, we'll continue with what we have. That's the recommendation. And until we can get another entity, Florida League of Cities, labor individuals to kind of help us in this situation. That's where we are.
Commissioner Campbell, any thought? Commissioner Jones? Okay. I have concerns about that. I understand what you're saying, and I'm not saying a labor attorney is not a valid suggestion, but tomorrow is tomorrow, and, if we're letting things go on, again, Ms. Cotty hadn't followed directions. She hadn't stopped interacting with employees, and we're putting them in a precarious situation. So I think we have to do better in terms of coming up with some ideas. And I know it's difficult, and I don't have all the ideas, and I'm not certainly, but I don't know if we can let it go. Go ahead,
want-
Commissioner, go ahead, Commissioner.
you
Moore.
said
Commissioner
you-
Davis.
You were saying something.
Okay, well, so here are some options I think are viable. Number one, Ms. Cardy can continue for 30 days. So let me be clear. I'm here on day one. This is day one for me. And so I'm not amenable to any other days or more days than we need. If this contract says 30 days, she has to have a 30-day opportunity. If we have to give the 30-day opportunity, it has to be with guidance. And I think if that is still an option for consistency, it is continuing with the Chief Shaw for 30 days as the acting assistant city manager, if that is a viable option, and to continue with that. A second option, well, and if we are able to give some direction as to what that looks like, right? Because obviously I'm not going to support her meeting with staff individually. So the support, I believe that Commissioner Borum, you're mentioning, I think it's just gonna have to come internally. I don't know, maybe we get somebody from Florida League of Cities, but if they can't be here tomorrow, then we have to come up with something
Some
else,
other
because
solution.
tomorrow, that's not an overnight item. That's right now what I can think of. And the other option is termination.
The
and
other
take.
option
and-
is a paid leave.
And the
until-
other option, okay, paid leave. So those are options. So I just want to make sure we put all options on and discuss pros and cons of each. I'm not saying where I'm headed. I just want to make sure we understand our options.
Commissioner Campbell?
Let me ask these questions. Ms. Cardy, have you taken the class or the recommendation from hostile workplace prevention?
I did actually take a class, yes.
Did you take the class managing emotions in the workplace and communication styles?
I'm pretty sure I did.
I-
And I started taking those classes, just as I started noticing I needed to improve in some areas.
That
basically.
was a recommendation that came from,
And did you provide the documentation to HR that you completed those? It's the
I
documentation.
can.
Okay, that would be great.
when were they completed?
I don't know the actual date, but it would have been before June 2025.
I'm just a tad bit concerned. And like I say, I'm on the fence and it's hard. I'm just a tad bit concerned, taking in consideration what has happened previously. And it seems to be a continuation of what has happened. I get that you're our only employee and I definitely want to do everything. But how many times do we get to this point and we not take a action one way or another? Like I said, we were just here in March with regards to other grievances. We continued, there were things that put in place. That's why I asked the question with regards to had those things taken place, because some of those allegations stems back to what would be considered a hostile work environment. And even been communicated that you have been working with the Florida League, or who have you,
Yeah, Jim Hanson.
and since when? Since the allegations came out?
Yeah, maybe, because he did come up here and actually meet with me and consulted me as well. And his recommendation was to continue and just, try to be responsive, just, do my best. So matter of fact, his primary suggestion was for me to attend the conference in October, taking all of the classes and developing other relationships with other city managers. So that's pretty much.
And when is that?
It's the last week of October.
And are you registered for it?
I am, as he said.
Commissioner Jones, are you still there?
I am.
Okay, I didn't know if you had any input or thoughts.
I put mine out there.
Okay,
When I said, what liability we have, are we considering liability to protect employees? We have one employer versus 9 at this point, according to with the addition of what Commissioner Campbell has disclosed. There have been opportunities. First of the year, we were tasked with getting a team building exercise. I don't know if the commissioners one by one decided on not doing that, or city manager just said that she didn't think it was in the best interest. I have no idea. I didn't push the issue anymore. I knew that coming in from the position of a director of finance, being promoted to city manager is a great task. And I didn't think that would harm the ability to kind of gel with your employees. And that didn't take place. And that, to me, it was a step towards trying to get the cohesiveness going. When you have this many employees that stepped out boldly and made a grievance against the CEO, ladies and gentlemen, it's an issue. And we we can't dance around it. I've seen we can't dance around it. And that's my take on it. We're gonna take action or we're not. Um, because later there's some things that already took place. You can't cure them in 30 days. Some of the things are incurable. So while we're making a decision, whatever the decision is going to be, we need to. I think we need to actually. Legal cities can't help us with it. We have to be. We got to stand on our own 2 feet and say, listen, do it meet or not the criteria, the term? Do it meet agree criteria to just say no? Well, do it leave of absence? I mean, leave without pay. Let's ask ourselves the hard questions and make the tough decisions that we're elected to do.
Mary Al's gonna be taking over for you tonight, okay, well?
That's my point. And for consideration, period.
If we can't, we need to specifically outline, whatever decision we make, we need to outline expectations moving forward during this time frame. I don't have, again, I'm inclined to either do the paid leave initially. We need to figure this out first. I don't know that you're gonna do that tonight, exactly. So I'm inclined, to consider the paid leave until we know what we're going to do moving forward. It's just, again, my thought.
Paid leave. That means she won't be here?
That means she won't be here
Until
for a
we-
period of time
She-
until we outline specifically everything our expectations and put it all in writing so that it's clear.
Can I make a recommendation?
You sure can,
Cause Chief still will be acting
correct,
as assistant city manager.
correct. If he's,
If we're gonna pay her, I want her to work. Let her continue to do her work. If she's on paid leave, I want her to continue to work taxpayer dollars. I want her to continue to do what she would normally do because she's not gonna affect staff.
are you saying remotely, have her work remotely? What do you clarify, just for me? I don't.
Whatever it take to get her job done, if she's getting paid, I want her to do the work. I want her to be doing the work. I don't want her sitting home getting paid. I want her to be doing the work. So that's just my taxpayer dollar kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any thoughts about the direction to go in at this point in time?
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
For clear direction, because Ms. Carty said she wasn't given clear direction last time. I agree with Commissioner Bourne. The direction that was given as she works as normal with all of the projects that we have done, make sure that they're being followed to completion, and the grants and anything else will go through Chief Shaw. And if to go up the ladder for any consultation, he would communicate to her and she could give feedback, but through him, so that none of the employees will be impacted directly through her decision making, or because the Chief Shaw right now really have the, we need to let them understand that he actually has the power at this time. But Ms. Carty is actually making sure she sees those projects through and these grant applications and these deadlines are met, which if she's not there, where would Chief Shaw get that information from? And she'll be on leave with pay. So I agree with Commissioner Bourne on that capacity.
And two, as well, we got a lot of other things going with our water situation, the water plant. We got that major thing going, and her being out, that would be a major deal. We got other things going on with the airport situation. So we got all these different things, and with her being out, these things would not be moving properly. And these things will have some major implications on the city if they're not done. So we need to be very careful how we handle this whole situation because we got some stuff that's cooking in the pot that we need to be attending to.
And that's why we have good employees that are doing that. And that's why we would have Chief Shaw as the acting assisting city manager. They would go to him in the interim until we get through this. That's the whole point. I'm, she can get, Ms. Cotty is good at gathering information, so is Chief Shaw. Those folks are quite competent in those different departments, and they can and could go to Chief Shaw in the interim until we get through this process. I trust employees too, that they know what they're doing. And, there are people who, I don't, not, you know, grant writing, whatever, we're talking about project management, reclamation, water plant, all of those things, and they can go directly to Chief Shaw and give the same information they would give to Ms. Cotty.
Question though, that she had some things in her emails that she was dealing with Florida Rural Water Protection Agency, all of those different entities, as well as other things, Mayor. So those are things that she was communicating with the commission and those entities. Chief Shaw, are you familiar with any of that stuff that when
Come
I'm,
on, please,
I'm
Chief
just
Shaw.
asking, I mean, are you intimately,
Could you come up?
This is not about Chief Shaw.
oh,
It's
no,
about
not
Chief
just,
Shaw,
is this a
but
question,
the-
because the mayor is asking that other staff can, I mean, that Chief Shaw can do this without her being in play. That's my concern.
Go ahead, Commissioner Davis.
So I will tell you, this is what I'm leaning towards. If Ms. Carty is going to continue working, I would like for the working to be remote.
That's what I was suggesting.
So there is something called transitioning. So Ms. Carty would have to provide the information so that Chief Shaw, if he's in that position, will have to continue the work. Ms. Carter's been, she's had some personal things going on, and she's been out of the office for a while, and I think it's continuing. So what I'm saying is, obviously, the city is still running strong and work is still being done. And so working remotely with Chief Shaw here acting, and Ms. Carty would have to document how she is addressing her plan to address these items.
I think we need to lay it out specifically and then
And
expect her
she's
to.
gonna tell, well, the items
I'm,
are,
I
yeah.
know to hear, but I think, you know.
What I am concerned, and I don't know how we can address, is the actions that have been taken against specific employees that cannot be taken back. I mean, you can't fix that. And that's some of what I'm saying is not able to be fixed in a way that is productive, unless you, generally speaking, I will be honest, generally speaking. And so that is my concern, which is why I'm a proponent of working remotely. I think that we will get more done because of these situations and how they've impacted staff than if Ms. Carter was in the office.
I
And
agree.
that's my 30-day cure period.
And we specifically, these items and how to move forward, and we need to lay that out. But I agree, and that's why I was suggesting a paid leave. I was going to suggest remote because it makes the most sense at this point. If everybody feels or has a concern about her being on Miss Cotty being on a paid leave and not working, there's plenty of things she can do remotely. As Commissioner Davis said, she has had family things to address, and she's been out of town and out of the office, and that's understandable. But the city has gone on, and the city will go on regardless of what happens to anybody. We want it to go on. We want people to be able to deal with the issues day by day, and the city to still operate as it will. Commissioner Campbell, any comments?
It appears that there's opportunity to move forward. However, I want us as the policymakers and the decision makers to be ready to face whatever it is that we have to be faced. And we're going to have to make some tough decisions because we have not given anybody, if this decision was to be made, the courtesy of having a curing period, a transition period, or no other period. It was either they worked for the city or they didn't, they were terminated. So be mindful of what it is that we're setting up. Because again, there are a lot of things that have been allocated, and I'm still stuck on the fact that this is round 2 of grievances.
I agree. I think I agree as well.
And it's round 2 of grievances with more than one employee being the person that filed the grievance. This is round 2. There's nothing that could be implemented that was not implemented from the last grievance. The classes, they were already taken. So you can't reallocate her to classes for for work hostile environment. So again, be mindful of what it is that we're setting up. And I'm not going for or against, but I just want us to have complete transparency about the process that we're setting up, because the process that we set up for this is going to literally be the blueprint of how we move forward in the future. And we have been a proponent of making sure that process, policies, and procedures, and of course, we've never been to this position, but again, we have not given any other city manager the courtesy to cure what has been done.
And that's my question. Was curing this is my first contract.
We never had that before.
Was this in the previous?
In the past, they just was terminated for whatever, and that was it.
Right. with
But this
very
is the
little
first time
explanation.
we've been here, and I think, the curing process is in this.
So Commissioner, I would think that's the difference.
Yes.
Is that what you're mentioning? I just want clarity on your point.
My statement was to put out, as we move forward, be mindful of what it is, because it's been stated, there are some things that are incurable. So for those things that are incurable, how can she cure something she can't unring a bell?
Mhm. I think we all
Yes.
agree with that.
And so not being able to unring a bell, what guidance are we given? Because again, tonight, when we move or when we leave here, if clear guidance has to be given, we have to give it. My intentions on wanting to meet was to come up and discuss the possibilities of how do we move forward in the event, and then bring Ms. Cardi into this conversation. Because again, we're going back to where we were when she was put on administrative leave without the due process, or put on administrative leave without the consensus of the entire commission. We brought her back in that time frame. Again, this is why it appears that we seem to be dysfunctional to a certain extent. And I say this, no. Let me, no. I'm going somewhere in my statement. In the time frame that Ms. Cardi was put on the probation, she came back. There should have been the steps of, once this investigation was concluded, of how, or in the direction of where we would have wanted to go. That was not put into place. So a lot of what we do is we come when something happens, and I say it all the time in the commission meetings, we talk about it when it's hot, but when it's not, we no longer talk about it. So we didn't talk about anything regarding the transition, or we didn't talk about any of that from the time Ms. Cardi came back until the time we got the conclusion of the investigation. So now here we are, we're trying to put a plan together in a meeting, and this is the only form that we can do it. However, again, to me, it appears to be a little bit backwards. It appears to be backwards because we heard what Ms. Cardi had to say. Now we're going to put her in a position, or we're going to put our staff still in a position that when we walk away from this meeting, it's still not a clear-cut direction of how this process is going to look. What is the cure process? How does that look? How long is she gonna be on administrative leave remotely? How, because we have policy with regards to remote work. So again, how does all of this look? How does this setup look?
And I think we couldn't plan for or come up with some direction until we had the completed investigation and what the outcomes of that were, first
Point
of all.
missed. That's not what my statement was
No, but
referencing.
let me finish.
No, it was my statement, Mayor, so I want to
Okay,
make sure
go
that as we
go
move
ahead,
forward,
go
that's
ahead.
clear.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, again, when we came into this meeting, we came into this meeting about the investigation. We came into this meeting, we heard Ms. Carty. I'm just saying the process of what we're talking about, of course, it was needed. But as far as the direction, we are talking about a cure process. How can you cure something? And that's what you got to stand on. You can't uncure something. So are we wasting taxpayers' dollars? Are we doing, so that's what I'm talking about. It's those kind of things that had not been taken in consideration. What makes it so specific about this time and not a cure process for the last time? What's the difference?
I don't know, but well, one, I don't think it got to this level. I don't know, and I may be wrong. I just wanted to say that I believe I am offering a plan for the cure period. And so let me state what I'm saying. Remote leave, I meant remote
paid leave,
working,
yep.
remote working with Chief Shaw, acting assistant city manager. In the 30-day cure period begins today. And in that cure period, Ms. Carty has to tell us what she's going to do to address these deficiencies.
And
That-
I want to see documentation about the courses you've already taken.
Okay,
and some of the-
okay, I'm just saying that's what, so I don't know if that answers your question, but I don't want to answer anymore because the onus is on Ms. Carty to address, Commissioner. And so that's what I'm offering. And, I don't believe we had the opportunity to do something prior because I personally was waiting for the results of the investigation. I will say I'm offering this based on the way I've interpreted Ms. Carter's response to this. I'm only speaking for
I
myself.
get it,
I'm
but
saying-
it can't start today because what we coming up with is not in writing.
Well, that's right. So we have to put everything in writing, which is
Okay.
basically what our expectations of
Okay,
Ms. Carty
so
are.
it will,
going
then it will be 30 days will start from the day it's in writing. Then that's what I was just asking for the details. I'm just putting out here what I'm amenable
we
to.
dated and
We
stuff,
need
yeah.
to just make it compliant.
Could I,
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
sorry. I had a question. It's gonna sound harsh, but it's a logical question that I want to put out. Don't have no bearing on which way I'm feeling right now. What if we were going to decide to terminate Ms. Carty and we just went out another 30 days of at a month of pay for her at that position when we knew on this night that's the action that we were going to take individually. Of course, we don't know what an individual is thinking. But this is the only time that we get to speak on the possibilities of let's go from termination to a suspension without pay to a action plan. But I think that I've been hearing at least 3 commissioners said they understand that it has been an allegations or allegations that cannot be cured in 30 days. So if you know that going in, if we know it going in, is it irresponsible for us to even not go ahead and make a vote? If that is not on the table, go forward. But if that's on the table, it needs to be made a move tonight.
I actually agree with Commissioner Jones.
I got a question though.
Sorry.
I got a question. So if that was part of the plan and it's in the contract and it's on the plan to have a curable process and you move in a different direction, where does that put the city? In a lawsuit, maybe. That's a question for legal. I'm just saying, if we got something already and the whole process been jacked up from the beginning. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this out there. You put on paid leave prior to all commissioners even moving forward to do this whole thing. Then you bring them back. And then now we're here with this process. And it's got something there that's giving guidance, and you're gonna do something different from that.
To read section 5, termination and severance pay C, and I'm just gonna read it so everybody's clear. The city manager shall not be entitled to severance benefits described in section 5B above during her first 6 months, 180 days of employment. Or if she is convicted of, pleads no contest to, or receives a withhold of adjudication for a felony or misdemeanor crime involving moral turpitude or dishonesty, or if she acts with misfeasance or malfeasance, or otherwise is guilty. This is the piece. Otherwise is guilty of misconduct which constitutes conduct demonstrating disregard of the city's interests, a violation, disregard of standards of behavior to which the city has a right to expect of the city manager. And that was the sentence to read in terms of whether termination is valid or not. I'm just
she-
reading it.
Has she been in the court or something? Because it
That's
basically
it.
allegations, it was allegations made by staff, and then also Ms. Carty's counter with her statements that we never heard. So you got two opposing, and she agreed to some of the things, and some of the things she did not. So the things that she did not agree with, are you saying that she's guilty without actually
I'm
knowing?
not saying, I'm saying substantial disregard of the city's interests or of the city's manager's duties and obligations, which is to be a role model to all employees, to practice a high standard of ethics, to not take advantage of her role and power, perceived or otherwise, to intimidate staff, which it is. If you ask staff to do something, they could easily assume that they have no choice or are intimidated because she is their highest supervisor. So the question, that's why I'm reading that statement. Now, I'm just reading it because it's in the contract. I'm not a jury. I'm not deciding. I'm reading something that's in the contract, Commissioner Boyle.
Okay,
Based on those, the things she admitted she did.
I understand historically, we can go back on some other things that really some serious stuff has happened here and we haven't.
We're
we getting
talking
to this
about here
point.
and now. We can't. We're here and now.
You really can't.
And I'm just reading the
We need to
contract.
be fair. We need to be fair with this whole
I
process.
don't know if you, what, we cannot discuss other situations. We're here and now.
I know, we need to be
Okay.
fair.
And I'm just reading an excerpt from the contract. So
But what I'm saying is we had something to go on, but we're retracting from what was written and stated.
we didn't vote on anything at this
But
point.
you
We
were
are
heading-
discussing.
But you were heading down a direction though.
Oh, I was offering that as a viable option,
Right, and that's
and
it.
I still am. There's just not a motion yet, because I want to hear from you guys.
And I am just reading another section of the contract, so everybody is aware what it says. That's all. I'm not making a judgment either.
While I do agree with Commissioner Jones, I do believe it's in the best interest of the city to offer 30 days of cure.
Second,
That, wait a minute, she has a
I
motion
thought she
here,
was
but
making a motion.
I will call for the vote. when
No,
we get to
yeah,
that.
I'm just saying, I do think we do need to do that, not only in the best interest of the city, but for due process for Ms. Cardi to make sure we're fulfilling our contractual obligations and to decrease city's liability. Now, what I'm not sure about, and where I'm going with that, is what that 30-day cure looks like, to Commissioner Campbell's point. I don't know, and I'm open to, I've offered the work remotely, but I'm open. But I'm just saying, I'm definitely amenable to moving down the path of the 30-day cure period.
I'm open to that too, and I think we have to be very careful and spell out what that expectation is in writing for that cure to start, so that everybody's on the same page, same playing field, and everybody's clear where we're going, because we haven't always been consistent about that. We do have a couple of folks for public comment. Ms. Kitchens?
Hold on, before you go to public comment,
Okay,
please.
go, 1 minute. Go ahead,
Okay.
Commissioner Jones.
Because I know we probably time is well spent. However, we don't get to talk about this again. When we come back, we're gonna come back with either more questions, because we can't go and ask Ms. Carter this in the parking lot. We can't go talk to the attorney. The attorney basically did what the last attorney did, handed his report, and that's it. That's his facts finding. The facts that we need to nail down tonight is there any gray areas or any questions that need to be asked by Mrs. Carty? There was I think there's some misses in there, and I don't want to seem like uh, 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 I'm, 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 I'm the guy that's at her, and I wanted to give her an opportunity to clarify where I had a gray area, and that was, did you know they was to your house? What time of day? And that question wasn't answered. And to me, um, that's that's still a gray area. But I know who goes to my house and who will be in my house. That's number one. Commissioner Campbell even made a statement. If we know we're going to head in a direction, I mean, you can let your conscience be your guide, but I just want the, I want to make sure we ask all the pertinent questions and we know the answers, because in 30 days we're gonna be back with the same set of facts in front of us. They're not gonna change. And as far as the and just ask yourself why on this diet, and I know you say things have changed, Commissioner Borum, but why on this diet tonight, you ask yourself, go through all the infractions and say, is this curable? Yes. Is this curable? Yeah. Is this, if it is, you got more things that you can cure, and you have some, if you have things that are not curable, you got a problem. That's how I see it. If I'm wrong, I need legal to give advice to all of us at this point, because I sometimes I feel when we really need legal, I'm just being honest, legal is not present. And this when we need legal. But it seems as if we get in these minds and it be, oh, by the way, this is the law that we found to protect so and so. Well, we should have known this before we came to this meeting tonight. We should have known that information prior to tonight. But we have to discuss it. And legal do have to be in the mix. You, and I'm tired of coming to these meetings or attending these meetings, and we get facts dropped on our emails right before we're going to meet and address something. Like Commissioner Campbell said, it does make us look dysfunctional. That needs to stop, because the attorney answers to who? Right now, she answers to the city manager. We can't even tell the attorney what to do. Think about it. So we need to really kind of like look at this thing with a broad brush. And I, I challenge all the commissioners to sit back and go down the list of allegations and see if all of them are curable, or Do we have some that you can't go back and fix? I challenge you all. And that's my take on it at this point. We don't make an action, whatever the action be. But we could do that tonight. And so that's what I would like to see. If it's going to be a leave without pay for 30 days, if it's going to be whatever it's going to be, whenever that person makes the motion, please let's consider the facts. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Kitchens.
Allegra Kitchens, Palatka, Florida. We have indeed been in this situation with Mr. Troy Bell. When he was here, every staff member in the city of Palatka, all 185 or so, said it was a toxic workplace. You come into City Hall, the staff sitting at their desks and crying. You look like you're walking into prison. It was gloomy and it was sad and it was horrible. The staff brought that to you. Not all of you, because only 2 of you were here at the time. However, this has gone on before. Mr. Bell was given leave, basically. Nothing happened to him. When he actually broke the law by negotiating a contract you were supposed to negotiate and paying a check over $25,000, then you terminated him. You did not give him the kind of treatment you're giving Miss Carty. Now, unless she is Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, I know Miss Carty. She is my neighbor. She is my friend. I've dealt with her as city manager. I've dealt with her as a friend. I've dealt with her as a Christian who prayed for a sick friend of mine. And again, unless she has a really bad side personality nobody's seen, she's not a bad person. Is this curable? The heck it is. You have a contract with EAP, that's your psychological services. Send your city employees, all of them, to psychological help and have them get help. If they are so thin-skinned that they get upset talking about ethnicity and they think that's a slight on them, or they're upset about that, then they seriously need help. They don't know what real trouble is. I worked under a supervisor who lined up the staff every morning. He cussed us out, told us we were stupid, didn't know what we were doing. If we had a medical issue, he made us work to hurt it. One lady had a bad back. He forced her to stand up when she filed in cards back, hoping he'd force her to resign. I have allergies to dust. He forced me to dust file cabinets. And that was just some of the things he did. And we didn't do anything about it. We tried to appeal it. We had no way to appeal it. Property appraiser's employees. Eventually he left. That is real persecution. But just because these days I have a problem. People they have their feelings on their shoulder. If I look at you wrong, you think I'm mad at you. I'm not mad at you. I may have something in my eye or something. But people have their feelings on their shoulders. They get the least little thing because their mama said they're great and they have no problem. You can't tell them no. They get upset over everything. I agree with employees if they're being seriously injured or damaged, but this kind of thing, a little comment, of course it can be cured. And you have probably 185 employees. You did it one time. Maybe you've only 179. 3 of them came up and spoke. That's 2%. Then after the investigating attorney asked the people, then others came through with something. That's the power of suggestion in all probability. But the bottom line is, here's the cure. Table this decision till the October 28th meeting, then give her the 30 days curable. Let her stay on the job working with pay under the supervision of Mr. Shaw. Make sure that Mr. Shaw finds out, Chief Shaw, make sure that no employees deal with her. What we have here generally is a horrible, horrible miscommunication, period. Miscommunication with the staff, with the city manager. There's a horrible miscommunication. I will close with this. Her civil rights under the U.S. Constitution have been violated. You have the right to face your accuser in a court of law. She didn't know who her accusers were and didn't know what the allegations were until today. Do not terminate her. Just let it continue till the 28th and then give her the 30-day curable and take it from there. Thank you.
Gwendolyn Asia.
Gwendolyn Asia, Post Office Box 2093, Palatka, Florida. Commissioners, I don't know where someone told you that you could not meet in a workshop setting, which the information that, suggestion that Commissioner Campbell said is, first of all, ditto of everything that she said. I won't have to repeat it. But to go with your suggestion, I've got notes here, Commissioner, to meet so that you can come up with 3 alternate plans and hopefully to include one in a policy format for commissioners so that they know, do not ask our employees to do anything. Okay, take for instance, Commissioner how do you, say your last name correctly?
Correa.
Correa. If you were leaving commission meeting, no, if you were leaving a workshop and your car wouldn't start and a city employee asked if you needed some help, what would your reply be?
It would honestly be, I appreciate the offer, but I have a friend, or I will call my mechanic, or I'll call AAA, or whatever the case may
Right.
be.
Now, take the same situation if it was dark.
That's true.
So
we
there are
can't
going to be,
exchange, you have
yeah,
to- and we can't
yeah,
do
there are
that.
going to be
I'm
some
sorry.
exceptions. But what I gather that there have been some repetitive issues that were broken that didn't get fixed previously. The 30 days cannot go into effect until she has received them. And it needs to be outlined in detail. And whatever those things are, you need to make sure that it's included in your policy so you don't have to waiver if it comes up again. The other thing for Ms. Carty, there needs to be an employee morale survey so that you can glean the people that if they have something that they would say, they would not be identified so that you can increase the employee morale. It's time for the city of Palatka to put everything on the table, face it, deal with it, so that the city can come together. You don't need anybody else coming out to tell you what to do. People will tell you what they're upset with. What are you going to do then? Thank you.
Thank you. Ellen Sheffield?
Alan Sheffield, Palatka, Florida. I don't envy your position, but as a citizen, and I thank you for laying out the concerns in terms of stability for this city, looking out for the welfare of employees and due process, because that is critical. And I'm asking right now, I'm thinking about myself as someone living in this city and the turmoil that it's gone through. And I'll honestly say this, nothing personal. I wasn't in favor of her coming on board in terms of city manager, given we had a great person in that chair over there, and we really needed to complement that with this. And so that transition, you trusted her to move from, and it sounds like what has happened is that she came over into an executive position with a supervisor mentality, thinking that you can interact with those same people you used to interact with in somewhat of the same way. That's a rookie mistake. And I don't believe personally, and I'm speaking as a citizen here, that that's all on her. Given where we were taking her from and putting her here because she had shined so brightly, there needed to be certain things that we did from a commissioner as your employee, but then certain things you would take on. There needs to be some coaching. Initial executives, when I was moving up in the ranks in a firm, when you were getting to this next position, you had coaching assigned to you, getting you ready to lead and deal with the things you were going to have to do that were totally new, because there is what they were saying here, because of your position, because of that title, you can look a certain way, speak a certain way, and people are going to feel pressured. You've got to understand that. But I don't put this all on her. And I don't feel like we should turn the city upside down again, because where it looks like you're going is dealing with, we're talking too much about this curable. And I believe all things are curable. even though you can't unring a bell, there is forgiveness and reconciliation no matter what has been done. And if our employees don't have a thick enough skin to understand that someone, even your boss, can make a grave mistake against you and that you have an opportunity to reconcile, that should be the first opportunity, not what I believe we're talking about doing in another 30 days. So I would ask that we would take a step back and think about those three things and pick up and do some things. You've got to do some things, and we've got to do some things in order to get this place situated so we can go forward without turmoil once again.
Thank you. Anybody else here for public comment? Come up, Ms. Garris.
Thank you. Pam Garris, Palatka, Florida. I live in the city limits. I know Miss Cardy. I think she's a wonderful person. She's not perfect, none of us are. But for the grace of God, go I. I could have made mistakes she made. My concern is how this investigation was done so that her due process, the employees' due process was done in a very systematic and legal standard. In other words, how did this investigator conduct it? You know, people can tell stories, tell things to embellish. Were they put under a lie detector? If somebody accused me of things or I was going to lose my job, I would want to know that they were telling the truth and to the best of the scientific ability and police standards or whatever, that we could pretty much be assured. And those tests are pretty accurate. They can tell when people are lying. And if I was going to lose my job, I would want to know I had due process and we could be pretty sure who was telling the truth and who was embellishing the truth to their advantage. Because people, not everybody's nice. Some people just want to get rid of you because they want some fresh meat on the hanger. And that is the worst part of human nature, but it does exist. It's evil. There is evil in the world. And we have to protect everybody's rights, because then you get into what he's talking about, liability. Then you got lawyers, then you got lots of big bills. And like Allegra said, people, you need some team building. Maybe you need to do some psychological, whatever is the thing now with employees, to make them feel like their thoughts are important and whatever. And you may discern some of them are not on an even keel. And you can't take everything they say seriously. There are people, you know, every workplace has some problems. I taught school. You have kids with problems in a classroom, and adults are just little kids that have grown up. Some of them still have problems. So all those things need to be taken into account so that her due process, her rights, and their rights are protected. So I'd like to know how this investigative process takes place. What techniques and processes do they employ? Because that is where it starts. You're making decisions on things we don't even know if they're valid.
Mhm.
That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I got a comment. I got a comment, Mayor. I got a comment. Can I
Are you
comment?
asking to respond?
Yes, no, not respond, but I just got a comment.
Go ahead.
It's okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Thanks. Yep, but here's what you got. And there's cultural differences as well. So here's what we have, and not saying that because the first I've ever heard any allegations came forward, it came during bail and also coming during Ms. Cardi. So and I do know Commissioner Jones had mentioned that one time before when we went off and we did a team building exercise there, in terms of cultural differences and learning how, everybody work together as it relates to different things, and how you may offend somebody in a way if you maybe even hug somebody or you make a statement or whatever. It could be a word, it could be your tone, it could be any of those things. And I know there were some allegations made about how Commissioner Jones even So he speaks strongly, he speak loudly, he speak, and so sometimes people were saying that was offensive. And so we had conversations about those type things in the team building session. That was some of the things that came back. And so I think we need to continue those things and make sure that the people that we have working for the city, that everybody operate with integrity and have morals and values. But no matter what, whether you're on the commission level, staff level, or just community as a whole, please try to do everything decent and order and don't manufacture nothing on anybody, regardless, no matter what level you're on. And we want to make sure that we do things decent and in order and in good spirits.
Any additional comments? We need to move forward in some fashion. We need a motion, a recommendation.
I don't make a recommendation. Sleepy. First of all, I want to thank the citizens for the public comments. It was great. It sounds like from experience, you all were speaking. So here's what I'm going to recommend. I am going to recommend that we restore Ms. Cardy to her position as city manager with the following items. And I'm not making a motion yet because I really want us to make this complete. That, of course, the curing period to address the items in the report, the allegations, or to correct them and establish those relationships, whatever that looks like. So that's number one. When she gets this in writing, to respond with her plan to address these items. Number two, to identify and activate working with an experienced city manager, retired or resourced from Florida League of Cities, or the likes, or from the Professional Organization for City Managers, where she
ICMA.
chooses, ICMA, to identify that coach within the next 30 days, to work with her to build up her skill set. To schedule an employee workshop to build morale and increase employee relations. And here's one I'd like to see, and I have expressed this several times, but I'd like for the city to hire an experienced HR director or contract with a HR director, someone who has the HR skill set that I believe we're lacking. And I'm not anything against our HR manager, but there's a higher level skill set that's needed from a strategic perspective that for the city. And I think that's just a gap. And I believe the city has grown. Our staff has grown. We're becoming more complicated, especially with these workplace situations. And I think we need someone who can address those from a higher level in working. So that's what I have so far.
Okay. Hi, I understand,
Open.
and this is not a reflection on our current HR director, but the HR department rather, but if that person is still reporting to the city manager, it does still present a precarious situation sometimes. And they will be, because our charter, that's the direction that we have. So, again, there's a limit to what they will feel comfortable doing. And when you say restored to position, what does that mean? Does that mean here physically? Okay,
Yes.
not just clarifying.
An opportunity to do the job with these supports that I'm mentioning.
Okay, and
That's
so there'd be no acting assistant city manager at that point? Who's going to give direction to staff employees during this period?
Miss Cardy. I mean,
Okay,
I
I'm
don't
just
know. I'm
asking
open.
for
I haven't
yeah, I know,
addressed
I'm
that.
asking for
So that's
clarification,
why I
that's
didn't
all.
make it in the form of a motion, because I really want to have I don't know what I don't know.
Okay, and I personally am gonna suggest that that's fine to bring her back, or she is back. But to still, if Chief Sherrill is willing to have him in that position, so employees report directly to him. And she's still not having those interactions till we have all of this information in place, what her plan is for this cure. You know, I'm just saying, rather, as a safeguard for her as well as employees. If that is what you're suggesting in terms of return, what's your thoughts, Commissioner Campbell or Commissioner Bourne?
I'm just trying to get us somewhere.
I'm
I
just
think
concerned.
like Commissioner Davis said, I mean, basically it'd be basically a full restore because again, Ms. Carter did move from the finance director position over to the CM and, so I think just restoring that, because I don't even think that the temporary period for to continue that process the way it's currently set now, and I don't know if you're gonna get much. I think we need to just put some strict deadlines on getting that information back so we can move forward in a quicker manner so that we can get this stuff on the way and you know, all the things that Commissioner Davis identified, I think that will help in that regard. Because if we continue that same path that we're gonna be limping along, we still got some things in place that we could use, some tools that we can use to make sure that the employees are protected.
Okay, I still have concerns about that. I'll just say that about the protection of the employees. And just to clarify for people that asked that question, the investigation was conducted by a law firm, external. So, and this is what they do. So they know what they're doing, they know the law. So everything was above board, and there was more than 3 employees that filed a complaint. There were several. And so just to clarify that, so it's not isolated to only a few people that could be perceived as bitter if one wanted to take that kind of train of thought. It's actually several employees that have filed concerns, and we've had employees leave as a result too. So to, again, keep the city
And I'm
going.
gonna say, I'm amenable to Chief Shaw remaining in place for the period and to assess after that.
Second, I'm in agreement. I don't know if Commissioner Campbell and Commissioner Jones, but I am too, so.
And the reporting.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Campbell, what are your thoughts, if any? As we're going round and
Yeah, I said enough.
round. Commissioner Jones? Any
I
more?
didn't hear Commissioner Campbell. What did he say?
You said enough.
I feel the same way. Yeah, I do. Um, the thought is already put out, but I sounded like you and Commissioner Davis were saying 2 different things, and help me understand. So, Commissioner Davis, are you talking about um, restoring Ms. Carty's position to city manager, and that'll be the end of that's it? She's back.
No, no, and I did say restore, and after hearing what the mayor was asking, I am also amenable to Chief Shaw remaining as the assistant acting city manager with staff direct reporting to him and, you know, working together with Ms. Carty. Does that
And
answer your question?
for the period of
For the 30, for the cure period, thank you. For the period, the cure period, which will begin the day that we give the written plan. Direction, yes.
Mm.
And after those 30 days, according to the process, we'll come back, we'll assess where we are based on the direction given, her plan, and the outcomes, and provide additional direction at that time.
Okay, Commissioner Boyle.
Yes, and one clarity point, that was offered up that we need to, make a policy, make the policy so that it is policy and we are to follow that. So it wouldn't, so we could probably do I don't know, we have to do not even emergency, but I don't know when we can make make the policy next meeting or have to go. To make sure that we make the policy so that when we write the written whatever that is followed in that regard, that's what was offered up. I'm just thinking if that's not the case, then can you repeat can you repeat it?
No,
No?
no, she can't come back up.
Yeah, I
Thank you.
don't-
No, if I asked them,
We
but
can ask from the minutes for it to be repeated.
if I asked her, because again, that was something, yeah, I can ask. Yeah, can you please come up and repeat that? Thank you.
I was,
I know what she was talking about, but
That's not right.
no, you're not supposed to, no.
what was what she's listing is requirements to be given directly to the city manager. But you take those same policies and you all create a policy for your city managers of all future ones so that they don't make these violations, and it's included in their contract so that they know. And that's what he's saying. They're two different. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Commissioner Campbell? You were gonna say something.
I have an issue with creating a policy that was not in place at the time of the alleged allegations or offenses. Even if that was to be the case, the commission would have to come up with the policy or work with staff to approve the policy, which further pushes,
Mhm.
because it has to come before the commission, it has to be read, or it has to be done. I get it, Ms. Asia. Let me talk it out. When we say policy, we have to be mindful. Another concern that I have, and I want just to make clarity if this is going to potentially be a motion. Direction was given previously with regards to communication. How someone perceives something is not the commission's fault. When direction was given, to my understanding, via an email and via meetings, at what point are we no longer going to accept that was my interpretation? Because we hear that a lot. And that alone has put us in some difficult situations because of it being someone's perception instead of seeking clarity. Another concern that I have is, and I'm just putting this all out there because I'm really battling with this decision because, again, what we're setting is going to set the tone for future references. Are we going to risk the fact of more employees leaving the city because of a decision that we made here tonight or not? The curing process still isn't clear to me because, again, I don't see it. It's not clear to me. And then again, what are we going to do in the meantime as a commission with regards to this? Because again, when we come back, I don't see it being no different from tonight. We're coming, we're getting information. So what's the process from there? Is it going to be a continuation of what this is? Is it going to be a at the end of the day, decisions have to be made. They're not always as easy, but again, we have to make some decisions. And it still does not, what we're talking about still does not give guideline or direction as a commission on what are we going to meet in the interim and come up with how, if these things are not met within that 30-day time frame. Because again, we can't give her direction unless we meet again. And those are the things that we're talking about, and those are the opportunities that we've missed previously. So again, when we leave here tonight, we got a recommendation, which, okay, but from the commission standpoint, what deadlines or guidelines are we going to follow? So that when we come back after this 30-day, well, we can't even, in the time frame of coming up what that cure process looks like, because again, we have to meet, we have to be on one accord. Okay, it has to go in writing. Say for instance, it goes in writing Monday. Boom, boom. Okay, so from that day, 30 days. When we come back, once that 30 days is done, what does the process looks like? What does that process look like? Are we coming back to give, are we in that time frame, could we have met to come up with the 3 options that we will present that night? Or that's what I'm struggling with.
I don't think we can wait 30 days. I mean, I think the period is 30 days, but I don't think we as a commission can wait 30 days to come
But
back.
again, we have not had that discussion. So with the
we're not there yet,
recommendation,
yeah.
there has to be, how do we move forward?
No, I agree. But I don't think we could wait the full 30 days. We would have to come back prior to that and look at the process and see how things are going, frankly.
And that's what
Yeah.
my whole statement was referencing. How
So-
does it look moving forward? We have the recommendation, but how does it look from our perspective?
Okay. So I think this leads to a gross miss on the commission's part. And I'm gonna say it, yeah. And so when we hired Ms. Carty, one of the things we talked about that the commission has never done is evaluating our city managers. And so the reason I am backtracking to say and taking into consideration the comments is because we have neglected yet again. However, when I say we, I'm talking commission as a whole. One of the things I've done, and I have reached out to HR and I got direction. I don't know if it came to the rest of commission because I can't know that.
It did.
But okay, so I got direction, we got dates. I did ask for the survey to go to her direct reports. We got those back. I reviewed the survey with you, Ms. Carty. Ms. Carty self-evaluated. I evaluated, and then we got into these dates, and I didn't give it to her because the date is October 30th. So I have it ready to do her evaluation.
Mhm.
And I gave feedback. We talked about some things that were going to be corrected, but we didn't do it as a whole. So that's one of the issues that we have when we're saying we're not giving her things in writing. So that's one. So I'm thinking about everything that's been said here tonight. So we owe it, I think, to go back and we need to course correct and give the opportunity. But to your point, Commissioner Campbell, with those recommendations I made, some additional information needs to be added. And the things you're asking is the information I'm asking, which is why I haven't made a motion yet, because my recommendation is not complete. And it is, I think, the next step that we need to do if we accept this is then to have a workshop to go get this documented. Or is that
Right.
Or what? Okay, okay, if it's not
No,
a
I'm giving
workshop.
no, I'm giving you the direction because as a workshop, no official action
It can be taken.
Correct, but we can workshop within the next few days and we got a meeting next Thursday.
We do have a meeting next Thursday.
Okay, so I'm just trying to think how I'm thinking through this. And so if we could workshop before that meeting and have our document, at least in the input to it, get that written up. We have a meeting next Thursday. That information can be given, action can be taken. And once that written, the 30-day clock starts to these recommendations. After 30 days, we need to schedule, if it's not coinciding with a planned meeting, a called meeting and give recommendation. And I think what should happen in that meeting is an assessment to understand this is what we said. What's her plan. Did she accomplish it? What are those outcomes? Because we may have to send an evaluation to, survey to her direct employees again. We got to get some kind of feedback to consider with all of that, if we want to have a complete thing, and then we're going to determine, did she do it? If she did, she continues employment. Do we take her off these restrictions? If she didn't, according to this, there's grounds for termination. And so we have a decision to make at that point, which I think is a definitive go forward plan. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Commissioner Jones.
I asked the question earlier addressed to the attorney and about getting information in late and how, when it comes down to us to make these decisions, the legality of such. You told us about Mrs. Carter's right, and I understand that's your direct report. I asked, and maybe it wasn't clear enough, of all the allegations and even Mrs. Carter's rebuttal to such, is there an allegation that occurred, whether it's perceived or actual factual act that was committed, and it's a violation of policy, city policy, that leads to termination? As our city attorney, could that be presented in this fact-finding meeting tonight? And if so, I would like for you to point it out, yay or nay. That's important because we won't be able to talk to you in this capacity as well, where all of the commissioners get the same information. And I would like to know that before making another comment.
Okay, and my apologies for not answering earlier when you were referring to the attorney. I thought you were referring to the attorney that had conducted the investigation and was talking with the employees. And I'm not quite sure I understand your question. If you don't mind rephrasing it so I can answer it properly.
There's about, as I understand it, 9 allegations that we went through earlier, and that's on the investigative finding. We just had Ms. Carty rebut or answer to them. Some I tried to get facts on, and allegation of whether it looked like it was a violation, or whether it was a actually violation of city policy, and if those acts
So let
were
me answer that.
what?
Yes.
Yes, what?
The allegations constituted violations. The allegations that were presented in the investigative report and the underlying complaints that the investigator examined would constitute violations of city policy. And those city policies are thoroughly delineated in the first couple of pages of the report.
And the second part of that half of that question was, were there any that would be deemed a terminatable offense?
Yes.
Okay. So in which that offense or those offenses at this time, and I heard Mr. Davis mention the probationary period, which all these things occurred during the probationary period as well. So during the probationary period, we just had this come up with the ex-city manager. That seemed like a different set of rules applied.
So let me address that. This is the first time that we have had, to my knowledge, a city manager employment agreement that has this provision regarding the 30-day cure period. And I want to make it clear that the contract provides the city manager an opportunity to cure the deficiencies to the city commission's satisfaction. It doesn't require the city commission to formulate the cure. That burden is on the city manager. So you should allow her that opportunity to address the deficiencies in a manner that she sees fit. And hopefully it will be to your satisfaction, but I want to make it clear that burden. But going back to your question, yes, there were violations in the, there were allegations in the investigative report that do constitute violations of not only the city policy, but other issues under, in particular, the work of public employees on behalf of the city manager would constitute a clear ethical violation, as the investigator noted. And that is clearly set forth in the investigative report.
Right, as I read. That's why I wanted the clarity of how we're getting to some of the statements that I heard. I just didn't understand them. But so I just wanted that clarity because you didn't answer them at first. I don't think we gave you the opportunity. So I wanted you to actually put that out there. So, I mean, the last question, and I'm done. So I think I asked and I said, if the intent was to terminate, if it was to terminate, would that also include a 30-day right to cure? Because if there's an incurable infraction, how would 30 days change that?
Well, the way that the contract is drafted does not contemplate that. There is the section 5 under the employment agreement, as the mayor previously addressed, but that really only pertains to severance. It doesn't pertain to the basis for termination. Section 5A of the contract really, in this case, does dictate that the city must provide written notice of the circumstances giving rise to termination. The investigative report that was provided constitutes that written notice in terms of the time frame and the basis. But that is the paragraph that dictates the process by which we need to govern ourselves.
Okay. So when we put Ms. Cardi on a suspension, what kind of notice was that?
The contract does not contemplate a 30-day cure period for suspension or paid administrative leave. It only is triggered in the event that the city commission is about to take a vote on termination as set forth in the city charter. The previous grievance that Commissioner Campbell referenced back in March, Commissioner Davis is correct. We had not reached the point, or at least it wasn't readily ascertainable to me, that you were about to consider termination. So this clause was not triggered at that time.
If I may.
Go ahead, Commissioner Campbell.
So with regards to that particular investigation, particular thing, we had a spokesperson from the commission that provided us with a recommendation. So the reason I made reference to the first set of grievances is because if we take in consideration holistically this entire thing, there's a continuation of the same things that were addressed in the previous grievances that are replicated in the current grievance. Hence the reason I asked if the recommendations that came as a result of that previous grievance was met, because those things should have addressed some of the allegations or address some of the things that are currently being talked about in the grievances that we're talking about today. So at what point, that's the only reason I made mention of the previous grievance, because again, we're providing an opportunity to cure what has been, what appears to be a continuation of the same things. And so this time, I feel that we are putting a buffer in by putting Chief Shaw in that position, because we're not fully allowing her to operate as city manager to determine if the same behaviors would continue. So what really are we doing here? And that's the reason I've made so much commentary. Again, if she can't interact with the staff, is she really doing her job? No, I said enough, but I'm sitting and I'm listening to the recommendation. But the reason I made reference to the clarity of what was being given of why I made mention of the first grievance.
I get
And
that.
my question was, my initial recommendation was to fully restore her with reacting, and then we had that. So I'm
I didn't
just.
have a problem with that.
Well, my concern with that is the employees. I'm trying, again, that was one of our 3 issues, and I am concerned about the employees.
We don't need much. Do this. Let's move some business, please.
Yes, we do need to make a decision.
Well,
I guess my question is, will I need to make several motions, because I believe I need to make a motion for what we do tomorrow going forward, or if we don't, do we carry on as we are? So if we do nothing in terms of that tomorrow, we will continue with what we have with Ms. Cardy as city manager, with the exception of managing staff, and Chief Shaw as the assistant city manager. So since that's what's in play right now, do I need to do anything with that? If I don't, would we carry on tomorrow as we are operating today?
If we did nothing, if we made no decisions tonight, is that what you're saying?
In terms of that
Yeah.
particular situation, I just want to know, do I need to state that we're gonna?
Well, that's why you're meeting here today, is to
Yeah.
make that decision.
So here's why I'm asking, because I know I need a motion. I want to make a motion for the commission to have a workshop to document what is it called? I'm losing.
Expectations during this 30-day cure period, is that what you're
Correct,
saying?
during the cure period. So we need to do that. Right? Okay, so I want to make sure.
Well, we
And
definitely-
then do I need to make the recommendation of the restoration and what those things are here? Or is that part of what we'll do in the workshop, and then we'll adopt it at the next meeting? That's what I'm trying
It's
to
up to us,
understand.
essentially.
So right now, all I need to say is we need to have a workshop to identify what will happen during the cure period.
And continue what's in
I'm
place
trying to
now,
ask.
that's the question, or
Well,
to,
you have a meeting already scheduled for
Thursday.
next Thursday, October 23rd. You can
Yeah.
add that to the agenda. Of the public.
we can come in earlier.
That too, but, well, at 5 o'clock we have CRA, don't we? No, okay. So so the point I'm trying to make is, when we get to next Thursday's meeting, I do want to add it to the agenda, but I want to also be prepared to take some action or give some direction, because we can't. May I have some direction on what we need to do right now? Anybody? Anybody?
So I think if we're talking about laying out expectations, I think even waiting till Thursday is probably a too long a period.
that's not what I said.
Okay, I'm sorry.
What I
Mister.
said,
I'm gonna make a motion for the commission to have a workshop to lay out the expectations in preparation to be on the agenda for Thursday. It is, do I need to do that? Okay, does it?
Yes, you would need to make a motion to have a special workshop.
But we can't, again, if we have a workshop, we can't approve, we can't vote and approve on any of those things. We would have to wait till Thursday.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well, but I'm concerned about that. You know, that's over a week out by the time we approve. We need to do something sooner than that. And so if we need to have a special call meeting next week, not a workshop, to come up with these, or we do it now, one or the other, and put it in writing, or whatever, but I don't think waiting for a week from Thursday, I just think that's too long. Go ahead, Commissioner Jones. Oh, you-
Madam Mayor, who called this meeting today? Special call meeting, anyway. Just for information purposes.
I didn't hear all that. I'm so sorry.
Who called a special call meeting today?
I believe I did, and I believe everybody was contacted.
I was,
Okay, okay.
I made contact with Assistant Chief and said
And
that
so
there
did
needs to
I.
be a meeting, so I'm not gonna allow her to be placed back on that limb.
Thank you.
So I did say that there needed to be a meeting. I did not say that Ms. Carty needed to be present for the meeting. I felt that there should have been conversation of what we're trying to do now should have been predetermined before. So I want to go on the record to say I was one of the individuals that helped or asked to call for this meeting.
Well, thank you, because I did too, but I believe it's under me, but yes, that's okay. But the point is we had to have some conversation about this. We couldn't procrastinate. It had to
Right.
happen.
I understand. I can appreciate that. But I would have the expectation that who actually initiated, or it takes two commissioners, or a commissioner and
Or it takes one mayor or two commissioners.
two commissioners. I would expect that they would have something to put on the floor for some action tonight. So if it was that important to have a meeting this soon, I expect some type of action tonight, because we've been there almost 3 hours, and I think that um, no information is going to change, and whichever way it go. But I think that you know we need to go ahead and move this on out, whatever we're going to do, and if the person asked for and was granted a special call meeting, they could make the motion of what we need to do.
I know, anybody
mean,
but me can make. the motion.
Correct.
I think that the comment is trying to force us into a position that doesn't necessarily need to be forced into. I respectfully disagree with Commissioner Jones. The point of a meeting is to have or facilitate a conversation and dialogue that we cannot have individually amongst each other. Is to facilitate a dialogue to get the thoughts. And Commissioner Jones, if I remember a lot, you say that often because information can be disseminated one way to one commissioner another way. So the meeting tonight was to facilitate a conversation and the dialogue so that everyone would be able to get an understanding or put their thoughts out so that we can accumulate. Now, so that's why I respectfully disagree. And I'm not going to be forced into a position or not be forced to make a motion that is not agreeable with myself, first of all. Because again, this is someone's livelihood. Again, this is us taking into consideration. So tonight's meeting is, and I actually, and Chief Shaw is, when I reached out to him, I said, I feel that a conversation needs to be had. One, so that Ms. Carty knows that we are taking this matter serious. And my second one, so that staff know that we're taking it, because we talk about stuff when it's hot, and when it's no longer hot, it's put on the back burner until something happens again.
Well,
Uh,
I understand your position. So if you talk about another meeting, what's going to change tonight in 2 or 3 more days? That's
Facilitation of
the
the
question. After after meeting for 3 hours. Eh, The questions, ask the questions now versus having another 3 hour meeting next week. Let's put the questions out. Let's get the the decision of what we want to really do out tonight. That's what I'm saying. And that'll be fair to Ms. Carter and the other employees as well. You know, let's just. I mean, if we decide one way or the other, we're gonna have a vote. So the vote's gonna be the vote. Either it's gonna you're gonna pass or it's gonna die. So and nobody said what position they really want right now, you know.
Well-
But as far as me, just to me and having conversation, this is a meaningful conversation to me. I got a little more facts than just the paper read, you know. Are you getting what you need tonight, or is something else that you're looking for?
I
Do
think
you-
that's what we're trying to do, we're trying to create a motion that encompasses all of our discussion and that the majority of us can be comfortable with moving forward. So if somebody would like to make a motion based on all of the discussion, that would be just wonderful.
Commissioner Davis made several
I know.
good
that's what
motions
I'm
and
saying.
we
She
start
hasn't made a
moving.
motion, but she's
But-
put out a lot of ideas.
Well, no, she made, I mean, she put out good ideas that we had agreed upon
I'm with you.
and it keep changing. So,
So I have my same recommendation. So what I hear is that in this motion, we need to include having a called meeting because we want to have this done before the next commission meeting. Is that what I'm hearing?
correct,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
But I think we can spell out the majority of it in this motion so that it can be put in writing, so that in the interim, there's some direction given.
All right. So I move that we restore Ms. Carty to her position as city manager with the following stipulations. Identify and actively work with an experienced city manager as a coach within the next 30 days.
Mhm.
Schedule employee workshops with the HR department that will increase employee morale and employer relations.
Mhm.
Complete, continue your training towards city manager certification through IMC.
And
And that we meet. Or does this need to be the meeting needs to be a separate motion? Does it? Okay,
No, we can do
and
that.
that the commission has a special called meeting on Thursday at 5 p.m. Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, we said we wanted to do this before. I don't know.
I'm pulling out the calendar.
Pull out the calendar, please.
We're on the 15th. On Wednesday, are we talking 20th, 21st, Monday, Tuesday? I'm trying to
I'm
pick a
good
date.
Monday or Tuesday.
Okay. So Tuesday, the
I'm good
21st,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, the 21st.
Commissioner,
Campbell, is that something?
I won't be in town,
You won't be in
I-
town on the 21st?
on the 22nd.
No, 21st.
I
Okay.
won't be coming back to the 26th. So
We're
I'll be
looking
out.
for the 21st.
Right, I'm just saying.
Okay.
21st,
Hold-
okay.
hold the laptop.
21st, okay
Yeah.
with you, Commissioner Campbell?
I have an obligation, but
Okay.
Is the
Not-
20th
Give us
better?
another
I'm
day.
just one person.
Is the 20th
The
better?
20th.
Mayor, I'm just one person.
Okay.
What day was
Commissioner
it?
Jones,
The 20th.
which day does the 20th or 21st work for you, or both? Commissioner Jones,
The 21st.
21st.
What day you recommending? 20th or 20?
I'm just, the majority are saying the 21st. Commissioner Campbell, however, is not available.
I'm good for the 20th through the 22nd.
I'm good for either night, so it's again what the majority
All
wants.
right, the 20th, if Commissioner Campbell gonna be doing 20th, the 20th,
20th, okay, that would be better, 10:20. At what time, folks? 5:30?
6,
I'm
don't
flexible.
work.
I'm flexible.
I'm looking.
I'm-
6, 5:30, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm flexible.
And I still have, I will just express that I still
We're
have,
saying Monday, the 20th
correct.
at,
I'm saying 5:30, I don't know what else, anybody else is saying.
That's an odd time, Mayor.
at 6 p.m. Okay, you want it? Come on, I'm trying to finish the motion. This is all in the motion.
Oh, we know.
Okay, at 6 p.m.
Okay, I guess that's not my choice. That's fine. And,
Oh.
I will still say I am concerned about staff reporting directly to Ms. Cotty because somebody can't be monitoring
And
in that 30-day, and during this time.
no, I made the motion as I
Okay, so you want,
intended.
so you want to continue the acting as city manager role? So she's
Did
restored
I
to her
say that?
position.
Yeah.
No, you didn't say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. And with Chief Shaw, continuing as acting assistant city manager.
So the motion is that Ms. Cotty be restored to her role as city manager, that Chief Shaw will continue as the acting assistant city manager so that employees could report to him and communicate via him, that a city manager coach will be enlisted to guide and mentor Ms. Cotty, correct?
Yes.
And that there'll be an employee workshop that HR will
For her to
facilitate.
work with, I just said, I don't know who's gonna facilitate. I said, work with HR to schedule
To schedule a
workshops
workshop.
that will increase employee morale and employer relations.
And Ms. Cotty will continue her efforts to become certified as a city manager.
Correct.
And we will have a special call meeting scheduled on October 20th at 6 p.m. We got everything? Okay.
Yes.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion is second. All in favor, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Warren,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Jones. Commissioner Campbell,
No.
Commissioner Davis,
Yes.
Do we try Commissioner Jones again?
Commissioner Jones,
Are you there?
hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Did you hear the
Nay,
motion?
nay,
nay, I was saying nay, I was on mute, sorry.
that's okay. Mayor Carrera,
I'm having a hard time. I'm gonna go with yay, just because we need to move forward and I want things to happen and want some stability, but I'm not totally comfortable with it, but yay.
No,
So it was a 3-2, the motion approved. Any further discussion? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.